All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the MMA Plug presented to you by Mile High Sports. We're going to get into 3 rounds. It's a little bit more of a long form today than our quick hitting 3 rounds just because of the nature of the topics here. But without further ado, let's dive in, shall we? Very first topic that I want to talk about today for 3 rounds, it has to be Raja Jackson. That was premeditated attempted murder. There's really no way around it. Yes, there's the folks that are saying that Raja has been a victim of emotional abuse and bullying, and he was pushed to his breaking point. Okay, just because you've been bullied and you have daddy issues still as a 25-year-old man does not give you the green light to go put someone within an inch of their life. Yes, Psycho Stu hit him with a gimmicked can in the back area, but that's because he thought that he was a worker. And in Stu's defense, it's not hard to see how he would have came to the conclusion or came to the thought that Jackson was in fact a worker. It looks like they were in the back area of what was a restricted access zone where it was nothing but other performers. This was a Knokx Pro, little local indie show out there in California that this happened at. And Raja Jackson, being that he is Rampage's son and also a pro MMA fighter himself, very much looks the part of an athlete and someone who could be involved in the business, who could be a worker and a performer. You couple that with him having a cameraman on him doing his live stream the entire time. Well, an older vet in the business like Stu, who is upholding the principles of kayfabe, which for those who are unfamiliar with that term, that's essentially suspending the disbelief. That's the work, that's the character, that's the performance angle of professional wrestling. Stu, yes, he did go up to Jackson and tried to generate some cheap heat by hitting him with the gimmick can. But again, that was a worked shot. It's not like he just went up there and wailed on him with a full can or with malicious intent and just conked him on the dome. That's not at all what happened. Stu was trying to generate some heat with Jackson to be able to work an angle on the program later on that night. For Jackson to come in and then be able to get a receipt or be able to have a back and forth. When Stu realized that Jackson was in fact not a performer, he adamantly apologized. This is on camera. He apologized to him and told him that, hey, I thought you were working, in the back here. We're usually always working. I saw you with the camera and thought that this was copacetic. I thought this was all good. Jackson shook his hand and accepted the apology. Wise to the business, which, I mean, I don't blame the bookers and the show promoters for doing. They used this natural conflict that occurred to then actually go ahead and try to work the angle of Jackson interfering in the match by giving Stu a receipt in the ring when they would give the signal when the time would come. In all honesty, that could have been a golden moment for Raja to go start making a path for himself. But instead, he was so mentally fragile that he let his emotions and his kick live stream chat gaslight him into going out there and committing attempted murder for the world to see. At minimum, that's felonious assault with great bodily injury. And for some, they're out there asking, well, what took so long to stop it? Why did it take anybody that long for him to get pulled off? So on and so forth. Those questions of that nature. Well, there's answers within a couple of things there. A, him interfering was a called spot. So him getting into the ring wasn't unexpected. So that's why as soon as he entered, you probably, why there's not someone going and running and immediately flooding and stopping it. That was a planned spot. They told him that he could get his receipt. But in wrestling, a receipt means a stiff shot back. That doesn't mean attempted murder. B, the referee in a pro wrestling bout is not a real referee. That is a paid performer that is a part of the entertainment act. They're not equipped with the knowledge or the skill set in most cases of how to grapple and pull somebody who is attacking someone with malicious intent. They're not equipped with that sort of skill set. That's not their job. C, as heinous as this was, there are some indie shows out there who do run these deathcore matches in which there are unimaginable levels of damage that the performers consent to. This might be the only saving grace that Jackson has, depending on what the agreement between these two guys was. And we won't know any more of that unless we can have an actual statement from Stu. And at what mental capacity will Stu be once he's ever beyond being in the hospital in critical care? And then lastly, D, Raja is a trained fighter. Again, folks, he's a professional MMA fighter. He was not about to just stop. His nature from the sport that he participates in is you go until somebody pulls you off. It isn't that you go and then you just stop on your own nature. So it did take another performer to go in there and intervene. And at that, Raja tried to fight that guy too. He tried to double leg him. And the crazy part in this is that Raja documented all of this. He put this whole crash out on stream for the world to see. There are some people who are calling out Rampage or sending Rampage threats saying that because of all the bullying that he's done to him and making Raja the butt of all of his jokes, that pushed him to the point of having a psychotic break. No chance can you put this blame on Rampage. Yes, is that probably a factor that the kid had some demons and some inner turmoil from being the butt of jokes, or dare we call it being bullied? Sure, but again, that does not give you the justification to go out there and go into business for yourself doing what he did. To speak on the acts alone, Stu was expecting him to come in. So, yeah, he did not stop the slam from happening because he expected Raja in there. What he didn't expect was to be slammed on his head the way that he was, to then be followed up with 22 stiff shots, stiff punches to the face, while Raja had him mounted while unconscious. Crowd videos have people speaking about how bloody Stu's face was from the punches that Raja delivered. Reports state that Stu has been placed in a medically induced coma, that he's lost most of his teeth, that he has multiple facial bone breaks, he has brain swelling. When he was awake, was having trouble walking. He has no recollection of the event. And as far as his backstory goes, Stu was an Army veteran with PTSD, and wrestling was his escape to be able to help deal with his trauma and to cope with those demons in his life. And what I find really honestly disgusting is that Raja seems to be taking zero accountability for any of this. His manic rage and the comments that he was making on camera while he was walking down the street afterwards, covered in Stu's blood, to his simple, my bad, over the phone in the parking lot, to then the footage that came out of Rampage bringing it up to him today and him saying that he blames his cameraman for keeping the footage going instead of cutting it. That doesn't change the act that you committed. That doesn't change that there would have been multiple other cameras from either the show's feed or crowdsourced videos of you doing what you did. Absolutely insane that there is zero accountability for that. And also, Rampage has known himself that Raja is a powder keg that has just been waiting to erupt. In past interviews, Rampage has said that his other kids got college funds. Raja had a bail fund because he knew that he was a wild card and that the collegiate education and that journey and all of that was not what was going to be his path. That's an issue right there within itself. Raja also allegedly suffered a concussion just a couple of days before the incident in sparring. The head kick that buzzed him was caught on camera, so that might be something that halfway helps Jackson in his defense in saying that due to the existing head trauma and then the can that he wasn't of right mind and was acting in self-defense, but with it not being immediately after the can spot and then with the way that he assaulted Stu and then all of the things that he said on the stream saying that, oh, I'll show you what a real crash out is. Oh, I've dreamed of knocking out a pro wrestler. All of these comments does not look good. I don't see any world where a jury sides with him. Raja is, by all accounts and for, in my observation, not that I followed him intensely or wildly close, but he seems like he's a 25-year-old kid who is trying to find his own identity while halfway still in his father's shadow. This could have been the opportunity for him to go out there with this Knokx Pro show to get a little bit of notoriety for himself and not just be Rampage's son. As shown by the assault that he committed in the ring, he has a baseline skill set that would allow for him to be able to perform inside of the ring. But one of the most important things and one of the things that makes sports entertainment at a high level so special or so great to watch is the trust that the superstars, is the trust that the wrestlers have within each other to take care of each other while putting on the show. How can we make this look the most brutal, the most violent, the most gory, so on and so forth, while also being the safest and most protective of each other as we can? There's a strategic fashion in which they do this. That was not at all what Raja did. He violated every code of the business. He violated the Bushido code of martial arts. What he did in just 30 seconds probably just destroyed the rest of his life. Raja Jackson better not hope that Psycho Stu dies. Otherwise, the premeditation that he gave on his live stream potentially bumps this up to murder in the first degree.